Hello, Juicy Co-Creators, Lilou here from Arizona on the Juicy Living Tour, magnificent 12 months tour around the world, empowering millions of people right now. And today I'm very excited about another amazing Juicy interview with Dave. Hello.
Hey, it's so nice to be here with you, Lilou. I am just so totally blessed.
Yeah, and I love how we actually met, because we met at the Conscious Life Expo in LA, and that was one of these law of attraction stories.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing, actually. Lilou is somebody that I first became aware of many years ago when I started on my spiritual path, and had seen that she was on YouTube and wanting to meet Oprah, and I was really taken with her then. And recently, I've just completed my film, and we'll talk more about that.
The Inner Way.
The Inner Way, and W-E-I-G-H. But yes, I'd been wanting to meet Lilou, and that was my intention. But I really didn't put out any, didn't try to do this in any way at all. And I happened to go to the Conscious Life Expo this year, and
In Los Angeles,
and standing in the Starbucks lane, getting my coffee, and I hear this voice, this juicy voice, and who was it? Lilou. So we met.
Yeah.
It was law of attraction, brought us together.
Yes, and I remember you very much because you're very grateful for life, and you were
yes.
in gratitude in that moment, and we connected heart to heart,
Yes.
and that's what I go for, and that's what the tour is about. That's what these interviews are about. That's what life for me is about: is having open heart and following that. And you followed that because you, in 2006, you went through bankruptcy and a divorce, and then in 2007, you found yourself in this place where you had to make some decisions.
Yes.
You were overweight.
I was almost 300 pounds. I was on antidepressants, and I was working in prison at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a clinical psychologist, and yes, I was not happy with my life.
Yeah.
And it was at that point that I actually ran across, it was on the internet, I ran across Oprah's show one day, was about this thing called The Secret.
Mm-hmm.
And
I was in the audience.
you were in the audience that day.
Okay.
Okay.
Powerful day. Tipping point.
Well, see, that's when we first connected. It was an amazing moment for me. It was, because that's what led to all the changes in my life since that point, including this film.
Yeah, so. And it made even more sense for you there because you had this background.
Right,
and
as a clinical psychologist, exactly. Well, I went out and bought the CD and bought the audio book and listened to it driving an hour to work every day for 6 months after that. And yes, the whole concept of law of attraction, it was like a light bulb went off in my head, and I realized I'd created this miserable life, okay? And so, but it all tied in with psychology, because I was taught all this stuff about cognitive psychology and changing your thoughts to change your feelings. I didn't tie it all together though until I saw this film, and then it's like, oh, change your thoughts. If you start paying attention to those thoughts and those negative thoughts when they come up and looking at the source of them, but they're the ones that create those feelings for you. And ultimately, it's that feeling that brings you what you want or what you don't want. Whatever that feeling is that you're holding on to, that's what you attract to you. It was an amazing connection, how it all came together for me, yeah.
And then from there, how did you go about it?
Oh, well, I basically...
There was a lot to deal with.
There was a lot.
I mean, even antidepressant, you had a whole life where you were...
Yeah, at the time I didn't know, I just knew I didn't want to keep doing what I was doing.
Yeah.
But like I said, I listened to watched the movie, probably 20, 25 times, but listening to it over and over is really what did it. And exactly, I knew that I wanted something different. I knew that I wasn't happy, so I started focusing on what I wanted. And as I really wasn't sure, I just knew that I wanted it to be creative and fun. I wanted to do something that was going to be of service and something that would generate wealth. And I asked God, I said, tell me what to do. Because at the key points in my life, whenever I've really been down and really struggled and not known what to do, that was where I went to the source for those answers. And it took several months. Before, but I kept paying attention to my thoughts and trusting that I was moving in the right direction. And at one point I remember saying, if I had several ideas I was playing with, one of which was to make a film. And I thought, if I just had 1 year's worth of my salary, then I would go ahead and quit my job and throw myself into it. I was 52 years old at the time. But I said, you know what? I've got a PhD, I've got a license. I can always go back to prison. But
Literally.
yeah, exactly. And so when I did that, about a week after that, I got something in the mail from our retirement system, the state retirement system, that said, if you retire now, you'll have like $300 a month, which wasn't going to be enough.
Yeah.
It was another week before something happened, and all of a sudden I thought, oh my God. And I went back and looked, and I could move it over into the investment plan instead, and basically get a lump sum of money that I would have control over. It was at least 2 years worth of my salary. And I felt like God was telling me, you asked, here it is. So it was in February I learned about, or whenever, was it January or February that Oprah's show was?
It was in January 2007.
January, right. So by the end of July.
Or February, yeah, but right
It was
there.
right there.
Yeah, one of those months.
And so at the end of July, I quit my job and set off on this journey, not knowing one thing, how to make a movie, how to do any of it, but just trusting this process, trusting that everything that they said in The Secret about you don't know, you just have that goal, this image of what it is you want to do. And I just trusted that God was leading me, and every step of the way started paying more attention to my intuition until it happened.
And as you were doing that, you were dropping the weight?
See, that was the real challenge, because what my idea was that I wanted to create a film similar to The Secret that was about weight loss. So it was law of attraction and all the other things that I learned in the process. But I still weighed, at that time, I think 285, okay? And I was like, what if I don't lose this weight? But, again, you can't worry. If you worry, you're on the wrong track, first of all. You've got to start changing that thinking. And I just felt compelled that this is what I was supposed to do. And so, yes, over the course of several years now, the weight has come off. But my focus really even hasn't been on my own personal weight. Yes, I've done things. My eating has changed some, but I do eat what I want. And basically, I've been focused more on creating a better life. And I really think that's the key to weight loss, because I think that most people who have trouble with eating, who are basically feel like they're hungry all the time, they're really hungry for something else. They're hungry for life. And we seek that when we're eating and just stuffing ourselves, but it's life that we're really hungering for.
And you created this juicy life. You've created an amazing movie. I mean, I was really moved by it and by the quality of it too, the production quality. I mean, you've attracted some of the top experts, teachers in there, over 20 experts, but also like really professionals in the film industry. I mean,
that was my intent.
Wild. Tell us about that process.
It is actually, because I guess it started, again, we look back at 2007, in terms of connecting with the teachers. I connected with Bronwyn Marmo, who I know you've interviewed, and Gay Hendricks was one. I was on Neil Donald Walsh's email list and got this message saying, oh, he's got this new book coming out, and it's called 5 Wishes. And if you,
great book.
Right, and if you buy 50 copies of my friend Gay's new book, you can spend an hour with him, either in person or on the phone. And I really didn't know anything about Gay at the time, other than the fact that I knew he was one of the founders of the Spiritual Cinema Circle. But I just kept getting this nudge to do it. And I'm thinking, 50 copies? That's a lot of money. What am I going to do? But after a couple days, I said, okay, if I'm going to listen, I'm going to listen. I did it. I figured I was going to a Unity church, and I'd just give my copies away. Well, it was after that. It was actually the next year. I didn't meet up with Gay until the Conscious Life Expo the following year, 2008. But I found out like a week after I'd purchased the books that Gay had his own weight loss story that a lot of people don't know about. He weighed 320 pounds, I believe, at one time when he was 25 years old. And so, yeah, that was pretty amazing. And so it started with him, and I did attract a lot of teachers. We ended up getting Bob Proctor from The Secret, which I was very excited about.
Yeah.
As far as the mind, I feel like of all the teachers that were in The Secret, he's the one that really does understand the mind. And in fact, better than most of the psychologists I know.
And he's a great communicator.
Yes. Then, as far as the people making the film, that's been an amazing process. I mean, our director was first AD on Seabiscuit. Our editor edited the last season of 24. Our composer did the music for the movie Precious. It's just I just couldn't believe all the people that were coming in. And I look at this now, and it's 2011 now, and we finished it.
We have it in our hands.
Have it in our hands. Finished it last December of 2010, and I look at it, and I'm astounded. I can't see how this happened, other than I trusted. I listened and trusted and took each step as it was in front of me. And Lord knows, there were definitely times that it was a struggle. Again, back at the beginning in 2007, I remember being on my knees at one point saying, God, what if, you've got to help me. What if I don't lose weight? But at the same time, I eventually came around to feeling so much gratitude for being fat, because I feel like this is my mission. I feel like this is what I was brought to this earth to do, was to create this and to tell people that there is another way. You don't have to starve yourself. I mean, I'm down 60 pounds from my peak, something like that. I try not to get on the scales every day and obsess about it, because I don't think that's helpful. You start bringing up all the, I'm not what I want to be. Well, see, you don't want to be thinking about that. You want to imagine yourself in the life that you want to be and in the body that you want. So it's been an amazing process, and it's still a journey. It's a journey that I remain on, but it's my dream to share this with the world, because I feel like so many of us suffer and we're caught up in the diet mentality that we have to starve ourselves or beat ourselves up, or that we have to look a certain way. That's the other thing, because what is the perfect body? It's what's the perfect body for you. I mean, even though I'm still obese under every definition that's out there, I am so grateful to have this body. I can do things that I didn't used to do, and I wake up every morning happy to be alive. And what greater thing is that? To me, it's really about that, and getting in touch with what it is that we are here for. So that's what I said, it's hunger for life.
Yeah. But it's amazing that through all those interviews, like you interviewed all these like 20 experts, right, on weight loss and law of attraction and all of that, and you must have learned so much from them too in the process. I mean, how you've attracted the greatest of the greatest expert, what a beautiful, huge attraction. You've attracted all that information like we are doing on the Juicy Tour.
Yes, exactly.
And you've attracted your own healing in a magnificent way, which also, heals the world.
Right.
But it starts with you. You must have understood. And I mean, what was really the key points from all those? What is really something that, there's many lessons and there's many things in the 70 minutes. But
well, it's interesting, because I feel like, I don't know if I could say there's one thing, but there's a synthesis that we derived, that we pulled out of it all, that I can share with you, that's in the film. And that is that instead of focusing on fat, which is what people typically do, the law of attraction would say if you're going to focus on your fat, you're going to keep bringing it in. And if you focus on your weight, then you're going to keep weighing down. So basically that was the key point, if anything. But we ended up developing this idea, instead of focusing on fat, focusing on fit, and fit being an acronym for face yourself, imagine yourself, and trust yourself. The first step of any change process has to be to face yourself, to accept that you're the one that created this body. Okay,
that's a huge
step. Most people can't take that responsibility, but you have to. You have to start there. And it also doesn't mean, though, to beat yourself up about it. It's like, blaming yourself, it's not blame. It's saying, okay, I did this, but now how can I live the way I want to live? Just as I did actually when I started off on this journey to make the film, and I really didn't know how. And you don't have to know how it's going to change. You don't.
That's a key point.
It is. You just have to trust. Well, that's it. Face yourself was the first part, and love yourself. Appreciate what you have, the gratitude for what you have, because our bodies are amazing gifts. I do believe that our bodies are what allow us to experience life. Other than that, we'd just be spirits floating around. And I think we have a lot of fun. Frankly, I believe I chose to be in this body. I like being in the physical body. I think it's a great place to be on this planet. And that's the first step, though, is facing what you did, then imagining the new life that you want for yourself, the new body, and not tying it so much to the number on the scale. Looking more at what kind of things do you want to do. And you build this image of yourself and you live in it every day and put yourself in it mentally and emotionally. You really have to get in that emotional vibration spending time every morning, like before I get up and the first thing in the morning, I have some positive thinking, some phrases that I look at, and also just spend a little time thinking about what a wonderful day it's going to be, when I encounter food, how I'm going to treat food, my appetite, that I'm going to eat naturally and listen to my appetite and eat the things that feel good to me. So you start doing that though mentally when you wake up. And then at night, when you go to bed, you want to do the same thing, because then that's when your subconscious mind you're totally in your subconscious mind when you go to sleep. So you plant those seeds in at night and in the morning and throughout the day. So that when you look in the mirror, instead of going, I hate that, then you start saying, thank you. I really appreciate, this is a great body. I'm so grateful for it. I think it's getting a little slimmer. Seriously, it sounds funny, but you start imagining yourself in that body and actually that's what I did. Every time I look in the mirror, I'd just imagine myself getting a little slimmer. And again, being grateful for having it.
It's amazing the power of imagination.
It is. But the last step is to trust yourself.
And that's a big one too.
It is a big one. I really think in some senses it's the most important, because it's easy to get lost and fall back. But you have to trust, you have to forgive yourself. You have to do it more than once, because we do tend to slip. We go back to our old patterns of thinking, our old behaviors. And so that's part of the change process. So as we grow, we get better at it. We develop new habits of thinking, new habits of feeling and paying attention. And it's during this part where you have to learn how to eat consciously. That's one of the things we talk about in the film. Be present, turn off the TV, put down the book, and focus on the food. And instead of eating fast food, you have to take time. Actually, I think if there's nothing else that you do, you want to make sure to take time for yourself every day. We rush around, we always have something we have to do, but you have to take time.
But again, that's something that a person that loves himself or herself would do. You want to take that time.
Yes,
you want to nurture, you want to connect. I mean, this is the love.
Unfortunately, though, I do think we're programmed to think it's not, if we're taking care of ourselves or doing what we think is right, we're told, no, that's not the right way.
But it's time to reprogram, as you said.
Exactly.
Brainwash ourselves in a positive way.
Exactly, because I do think we're brainwashed by the media, by our parents, by everybody when we grow up. So once you become conscious and aware that you're having these negative thoughts that have been programmed into you, then we take responsibility. So it's not just for what I eat, it's for my thinking and brainwashing myself. And to do that, you have to find those things that resonate, like these videos, like whatever it is that takes you there, and do it repeatedly over and over to where that becomes your subconscious way of thinking. Your body, you will automatically do it, because the subconscious is where our automatic patterns of behavior. Like if you drive a car, you're not thinking every minute about all the different things you have to do while you're driving a car. It's all in your subconscious mind, okay? And so it's the same way with eating right, moving, and living a fulfilling life. The more you reprogram yourself and put in the brainwashing that you want to wash your own brain, then it becomes an automatic process over time, so that you start naturally eating the good foods, foods that suit you. It's not a struggle. It's not something that's like you're denying yourself that I can't have chocolate. You're just changing the way you think, so that it's like, instead of saying I'm obsessed with this food, or if I eat some of this, I'm not going to be able to stop. It's like, I can have a little taste of this, and that's enough.
Yeah.
It is all in the programming, though. You have to take responsibility for doing that.
But it's amazing how the law of attraction too plays its role in bringing the right food, that is good for you, so that you can have that slender body.
Yes, exactly.
So you're attracting also the foods and the nutriments and the exercise that you need.
I think one of the Wayne Dyer says, whenever you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And I like to use that with food. Whenever I change the way I look at food, the food I look at changes. When I change the way I look at my body, the body I look at changes. And it's true. It's all in consciousness.
This is beautiful. I really, really recommend for anybody that is out there. Really, this is a great one, and
Thank you.
really well produced. I mean, I'm so in gratitude, and I can so feel, and I'm sure everybody that is watching can feel your passion for this, your authenticity, your truth, your heart, and this is your calling. This is the soul here speaking. This is you're living the juicy life.
Yes, I am, and thank you.
And the challenges are part of it.
Yes, they
and
are.
That's
They
what's
are.
beautiful, because then we are in gratitude for those moments.
Yes.
And thank you for being a living proof of that.
Oh,
And inspiring millions.
thank you for everything you're doing. I mean, you're talk about inspiring millions. Thank you. I mean, you know, I so admire you and the faith that you have that as you move forward in your life and doing what you're doing. It's an amazing thing. And if anything, I would ask that each of you look inside yourself and what is it? Ask yourself what you're hungry for. What is it really that you hunger for? What is it that you want to do with your life? And instead of thinking about all the things that are keeping you from doing that, instead of thinking, oh, if you're looking for love and you feel like you're too fat, instead of focusing on that, focus on loving and being loving. Because I do think law of attraction is the law of love. It's all spirit is love. And it's love that brings things to us.
Yeah. Beautifully said. Oh my goodness. I'm so grateful for this.
Oh, thank you. I want a
hug. Thank you.
Thank you.
Much love, my beautiful co-creators from Arizona. See you
Peace
soon.
out.